Habermas, the structural transformation of the public sphere, is an analysis of the historical development and eventual decline of the public sphere, particularly in Europe. Published in 1962, the book examines the emergence of a new form of civic engagement that came into prominence in the 18th century. Habermas defines the public sphere as a space where individuals come together to discuss and debate matters of common interest, forming opinions that ideally influence political action. At the heart of Habermas' argument is the idea that the public sphere is a crucial intermediary between private individuals and the state. In pre-modern societies, power was concentrated in monarchies and aristocracies, where authority was exercised without public scrutiny. There was no significant distinction between public and private life, as rulers governed in their own interest, often without considering broader public concerns. However, in the 17th and 18th centuries, this began to change with the rise of capitalist economies, print culture, and the bourgeois class. The public sphere, as Habermas describes it, reached its height during the Enlightenment. It was characterized by rational critical debate, particularly in the salons, coffeehouse houses, and literary societies of the time. These spaces allowed private citizens, especially the bourgeoisie, to engage in discussions about politics, philosophy, and economics, outside the direct control of the state. For Habermas, this period marked the emergence of a new form of participatory democracy, in which the legitimacy of power was derived from public reasoning and debate. Habermas argues that this public sphere was initially inclusive in principle, but in practice, it was limited to property-owning, educated men. Nevertheless, its ideals, open debate, rational discourse, and the formation of a common will, laid the groundwork for modern democratic societies. The public sphere functioned as a forum where the state could be held accountable to the people, and where public opinion could shape government policy. The rise of mass media and the transformation of the capitalist economy in the 19th and 20th centuries led to the decline of this idealized public sphere. According to Habermas, the shift from a liberal market economy to a monopolistic and state-managed form of capitalism altered the relationship between the public and private sectors. Large corporations and powerful interest groups began to dominate public discourse, turning the public sphere into a space where opinions were manufactured, rather than formed, through rational debate. In this new phase, the public sphere became more passive and fragmented. The rise of mass communication, particularly newspapers, radio, and television, played a significant role in this process. Rather than fostering genuine deliberation, these media became tools for disseminating information in a one-way direction from the state or corporate powers to the public. As a result, public opinion became increasingly shaped by advertising, public relations, and other forms of manipulation. In this context, the public sphere lost its function as a space for critical engagement and became more of a vehicle for managing public perception. Habermas is also critical of the role of the welfare state in this transformation. While the welfare state was meant to address social inequalities and provide security for citizens, it also contributed to the depoliticization of the public. The state's increasing intervention in the economy and society, diminished the role of individual citizens in shaping public policy, as the state assumed more responsibility for managing social life. The public sphere was sidelined, and political participation was reduced to occasional voting, rather than active ongoing engagement. Habermas points out that the commodification of culture and the rise of consumerism further weakened the public sphere. Culture, which had once been a source of critical reflection and debate, became increasingly commercialized. Mass entertainment replaced the intellectual rigor of earlier public discussions, leading to a shift in public life from active participation to passive consumption. The boundaries between the private and public spheres blurred, with personal and consumer interests taking precedence over collective civic concerns. Despite his critical assessment, Habermas does not believe the decline of the public sphere is irreversible. He emphasizes that the public sphere, as a concept, remains central to democratic life. It continues to provide a normative ideal for how democratic societies should function. Public reasoning, transparency, and open debate remain essential for ensuring that political power is exercised in the interest of the people. Habermas also explores the possibility of reviving the public sphere in modern times. He points to the potential of new social movements, which challenge the status quo and seek to create alternative spaces for public discourse. Environmental activism, human rights campaigns, and other grassroots movements offer opportunities for reinvigorating civic engagement. However, he warns that these efforts face significant challenges in overcoming the influence of mass media and powerful interest groups that dominate contemporary politics. Habermas also discusses the role of parliamentary democracy in relation to the public sphere. He argues that while modern democratic institutions are supposed to be based on public opinion, in practice, they are often disconnected from it. Parliamentary debates, which should reflect the concerns and interests of the public, are frequently driven by party politics, special interests, and bureaucratic processes that alienate ordinary citizens. This disconnect between the public and formal politics contributes to the sense of political apathy and disenchantment that characterizes modern democracies. In the later part of the book, Habermas delves into the implications of these changes for the future of democracy. He argues that without a vibrant public sphere, democracy risks becoming hollow, reduced to mere procedures without substance. The legitimacy of democratic institutions depends on the active participation of citizens in shaping public life, and when the public sphere is weakened, so too is the foundation of democratic governance. Habermas' critique of the modern public sphere offers important insights into the challenges facing contemporary democratic societies. His work highlights the tensions between capitalism, mass media, and democracy, pointing to the ways in which economic and political power can undermine genuine public participation. Yet, he also leaves room for optimism, suggesting that new forms of civic engagement and public discourse could help to reinvigorate the democratic process.